Dark Encounter is a alien horror movie. And before we even get into this movie, a little heads up, this movie has one of the craziest plot twists I've seen in a horror movie, or just in general. This plot twist to this movie blew my mind. So yeah, the movie is about this family, and they go out to go do something, and when they get home, their daughter is missing. Well, 1 year later, on the anniversary of her disappearance, the family is back together, and they've been searching because it's the 1 year anniversary. They clearly have not found this little girl, and just everybody's sad, stressed, and yeah, that is about that. The uncle was the sheriff, and so he was deeply in the search because that's his niece, and you could tell it definitely weighs on him because he was given basically this speech on the news just about how much he cared about his niece and how disappointed he was that they can't find her and all this. Well, they're all at home at a gathering, and the dad, he goes out to kind of clear his mind. He's not been the same since his daughter disappeared, and he sees this crazy shit in the sky, and it doesn't register to him what it was. So he goes inside and he tells everybody that some neighbor boys are playing with flares because he can't really comprehend what he's seeing. So him and some other people go out into the woods to basically find these boys and tell them, hey, stop shooting these flares off. Well, they end up going to these woods, and yes, no kids, but they do see just weird ass shit, glowing lights, just weird ass shit in these woods, and someone comes up missing. So they hurry up and book it back home, and everybody's like, what's happening? They're just lost for words, so they're like, something, but they're not explaining what the hell they seen, which was frustrating. But then the house is visited by these lights, and yeah, it just turns up from there as just all this crazy shit starts happening. Aliens, clearly, and yeah, just lights, people come up missing, the police get involved. Dude was the sheriff, the uncle, and he's like, they just can't comprehend what they're seeing. And yeah, at the very end of this movie just has this insane, crazy plot twist that I definitely wasn't even expecting. So we'll just get more into that in the review. As in the review, there's going to be massive spoilers. So before we even get to the review, this movie, highly recommended. Go watch it because it's definitely that plot twist that made this movie. Highly recommended. That plot twist is crazy, and if you've already seen it, you know. So my review to Dark Encounters, and we're just going to do a little review before the spoilers. So yes, the acting was incredibly good in this movie. Honestly, the acting was just very, very good. The lighting in this movie was excellent, because honestly, a lot of the scenes are with the lighting and the alien beam light, and so yeah, that shit looked really, really good. The story, is crazy. That plot twist in the end, this writing was crazy good. Now, the one thing I didn't kind of like about the movie was there was a bunch of slow-paced scenes where it was for dramatic effect, when they're looking at lights and stuff, which makes sense, but it was just so many of them that it kind of bugged me. But honestly, it didn't take away from the movie, and probably looking back, that was good because it added more to it. But just while watching it, I was all like, man, just speed up. And honestly, that was just mainly because I wanted to know what was happening. Like, why are these aliens attacking? Like, what do they look like? All that shit. So it was more because the movie was so good that I just wanted it to speed up, if that makes sense. So yeah, and that's about my little review. So spoilers and why this movie's so good and the plot twist, right? So at the very end, when the aliens basically kidnap everybody, and honestly I'm like, damn, the aliens are killing them. And the mom ends up getting the knowledge. Not only did that look visually amazing, it was really, really good. She ends up going into like a mirrored dimension back in the past, the day her daughter disappears. And you find out, and this just threw me for a loop because this whole movie's about just alien abductions. And this is at the very end, and obviously massive fucking spoilers. The uncle, the sheriff, actually visits the daughter on the day she comes up missing, something he had never mentioned. And it starts playing out, and the mom can like see through like this mirror dimension into the past, which is crazy. And she's starting to put two and two together, like the uncle, he's like looking all weird and shit, and he ends up going upstairs where the daughter was. Well, plays out a little more, and the uncle, the sheriff, goes into the room with the daughter, shuts the door, and that's the day she came up missing. Well, more plays out, and it turns out that, Dark Encounter might not actually mean aliens. The Dark Encounter was the uncle basically molesting this little girl. And yeah, that was just an insane plot twist. And something had to have happened that day because he kills her. So the uncle actually kills the little girl and buries her. And that's why they could never find her, because he was the head of the search and rescue. So he knew exactly where not to go. And yeah, so basically the uncle, the sheriff, was just this main villain. He was just this huge liar, as he was constantly like crying and apologizing on the news and doing all this stuff like, we're trying so hard. Just straight lies. Yeah, and he was just the ultimate predator. I mean, he had power. His sister had no clue. Just fucked up villainous shit. And I like how like the whole time you think Dark Encounter is the aliens because it's an abduction movie, and in reality, no, Dark Encounters is the uncle. I thought that shit was crazy. And what happens is these aliens basically, use their alien shenanigans technology to have this family see the truth. And the theory is, in the movie, is the reason why the aliens did this is because, which is even more crazy, is the aliens used to actually visit this little girl. And so when they showed up one night and seen the little girl was missing, they're like, okay, why is this little girl missing? And basically a year later, the aliens are like, look, you can't figure this out because this dude is tricking everybody. And I feel like they was kind of like, nah, this dude ain't about to keep tricking people, and that's why they showed him the truth. But in the end, the family ends up finding out that the uncle did it, and the uncle is just, he doesn't even deny it because he was also showed himself doing it again. Just crazy ass movie with this crazy ass plot twist that I loved. So my recommendation to Dark Encounter, and like I said, this is highly recommended. Maybe it'll grow on me because that ending's insane, and it might end up being a must-see. Honestly, this movie had just this great plot twist that I never seen coming, and just was so impactful to the movie. Very, very good.